Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station. This is the podcast where we talk about the law of attraction, the art of allowing, spiritual magic, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin. I'm located, as always, in beautiful, sunny North Hollywood, California.
I love when you get into character. It's so great.
I'm on today. I'm on.
Yeah, I was like, hot. I love it. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Orlina. I am a transformational life coach, and I'm in San Diego, California.
Thank you so much for listening to the audio version or watching us on YouTube. We really appreciate it. We just want to let you know right at the beginning here, we often mention Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks here as we're talking about things on the podcast. If you're not familiar with those names, Esther is a speaker and author who channels Abraham. Abraham is described as a group of entities from beyond our physical world who share their wisdom by speaking through Esther at workshops and speaking opportunities around the world. You can find out more about them at abraham-hicks.com. Each week we start a discussion from a different jumping off point. And this week we're going to start off from a jumping off point that occurred to me this week. And it is uncharacteristically, it is a complaint. My complaint is, Stephanie, law of attraction, art of allowing coach, that the law of attraction may be unfair.
Nope.
Maybe unfair.
Nope.
You're like, no.
Nope.
Okay. Well,
Nope.
Thanks so much for joining us on this week's episode.
That was a great episode. Thank you so much.
Well, what I mean, I know it's not technically unfair, but here's what I mean by that. Here's what I was thinking.
In any form unfair. It's
unfair in one way. It's unfair in one way. Well, because on the one hand, what we know, once you learn about the law of attraction and the art of allowing, what you know is that you have as the story in the Aladdin and the magic lamp goes, you not only have a genie within you that can answer any wish, but you have unlimited wishes. So that's amazing. It's like you can be, do, or have anything you want in this life as long as you know how to practice the art of allowing. So,
or not even. I know people who know nothing of this and they just naturally get what they want because they are naturally
lucky bastards.
Awesome allowers. I have a girlfriend that I met through going to one of these meetup groups years ago, and she's like, I didn't know any of this stuff, and I just I get what I want.
Right. So on the one hand, you can say, well, how could that be unfair? It's basically like you're a lottery winner every single day of your life while you're here. How could that be construed as unfair? The way in which I think could be unfair is the following: is the fact that
so now you're saying could be, where before you were saying it is absolutely.
I am. I'm not
now you're wavering
a
little bit.
I'm not standing behind this at all. But a lot of us got raised with very strong beliefs. Michael Beckwith in the film The Secret calls it the nightmare pill. That most people get fed the nightmare pill at some point when they're coming up and becoming an adult, where we get taught, like we didn't ask to get taught. We get taught that there is a lack of resources out in the world, that we have to compete for resources because if somebody else gets your piece of the pie, you won't have your piece of the pie. Life is hard. It has to be hard. The only way to do things is to work really hard. And even if you work really hard, you probably won't get very much because there's not very much, the powerful people control everything and, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of us get to, I don't remember how old I was. I was in my mid 30s when I first saw The Secret, when I first started hearing about Abraham Hicks. And what I learned from watching The Secret was like, oh my gosh, I've learned how the universe actually works. I learned that it worked the opposite. I learned a lie that is the opposite of how it actually works. So great, A plus that I now know how it really works, but I now have to practice this new way of thinking.
You don't have to.
Well, if I want my life to go well.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make.
Unless I want to stay miserable.
Let's just be clear here. Nobody has to. I choose to.
But I need to practice.
Like the option better.
I need to practice thinking the truth, the way it really works. Mm-hmm. Practicing believing in it, practicing trusting it, practicing doing it, and then observing results and remembering results. So
it's all a retraining. All a retraining and a reprogramming.
So that's what I mean by unfair. Is it feels like sometimes it's almost like the universe played a trick on us in the sense that
Nope.
it's like, oh, well,
Nope.
we taught you
Nope.
the wrong way.
The universe didn't teach us the wrong way. The people
Well, but
before
most
us
of us
taught
didn't
us
have
it.
but most of us didn't have control over the fact that we learned the wrong way really well. Like,
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the universe. That doesn't have anything to do with the law of attraction.
well, who else did it?
All the people who said those things to you,
Who are
and
controlled by the universe? Yes.
no, they're not. They're not controlled by the universe.
Okay.
Someone
I thought the
probably
universe controls everything.
law of attraction responds to everybody's vibration. Law of attraction responds to everybody's energy.
So here's my question. Did I have a bad vibration when I was born that attracted all these terrible beliefs of not the truth?
No, not at all.
Why did I learn all these like horrible things that aren't true?
Well, you learned also some really cool things too.
That's true.
Like you talk about your grandma. You talked last week in the episode about how you played miniature golf with your grandmother. And my thought was, man, grandparents are the best. I love my grandmother. My grandfather I always think of my grandfather. He was like the Mexican Fred Sanford. He would he would get these things from all like washers,
for those younger viewers.
Yeah,
There's
you'll have to
a
Google.
TV show from many years ago called Sanford and Son, which is what's from.
And he was a junkyard owner, and he was an older man. But anyways, I would help him load up his truck, and he would say, "That a boy, cowboy." Something. I'm like, I'm a girl. I'm a cowgirl. But anyways, so it wasn't. The universe was just responding to everyone's vibration.
I was just going to
say, attraction.
Apropos of nothing, my sister Kelly and I have a grandfather who passed on a few years ago, Grandpa Worster, and he used to call like everybody Charlie at some point for no reason. Like you'd come out to greet him and he'd be like, "How you doing, Charlie?" And we're always like, "Who is Charlie?"
Who's Charlie? Did he ever tell you like where that came from?
No.
It's probably his thing when he couldn't remember someone's name, right? So everybody was Charlie.
Possibly. I don't know. It seemed like I don't know. I think for him it was more like a buddy. Like it was like took the place of buddy or something, But it was odd that it was a specific male name that was
and everybody was Charlie, whether you're male or female.
Well, I mean, to tell on my to undo my own question from the top. I mean, I think in thinking about it,
I love you, Collin. You go, boy.
What I came up with is that I think at least this is how I view my life. My journey is partly, and by journey I mean everything that I experience from birth to like when I poof and kick off. Part of that is a mystery.
I like that.
Part
poof.
of like.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna poof.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what I do.
That's poof. POOF. It might have sounded like someone else. No, something else.
I'm reminded. I don't know. there's a really great internet meme. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's a young African American boy, probably about 8 years old, and he's got a really great look on his face, and he just gives the peace sign, and then he just vanishes.
Oh, dude, you're gonna have to send that to me.
I was trying to find it earlier this week because somebody. I was on a Zoom meeting like this, and somebody kept disappearing, and it was because they had one of those virtual backgrounds.
Okay.
And something like with their hair or whatever, the background didn't like it, so they kept vanishing.
Oh my gosh!
Like, it's like that meme where the kid is like peace, and he just like vanishes.
Cute.
But anyway, but I mean, a part of my journey, I feel like is a mystery, and I can't prove this, but I think it's a mystery on purpose. I think part of life, as I've come to understand it, is like surprises, and
absolutely. Thank you. That's what I wanted to talk about too. Surprises.
Yeah, if we knew everything that was going to happen to us, or even if we knew most things that were going to happen to us, life would be boring as fuck.
Hell yeah.
There's a certain amount of, well, geez, I didn't know I was going to show up as Collin, and I didn't know I was going to have like the issues that came out of my childhood and trauma and all this other stuff, and I didn't know how I was going to work through that, and I didn't know what challenges that was going to create for me, and I didn't know what opportunities for growth and blessings that were going to come out of that and all that stuff. And it's like, and it's good in a weird way. I may hate it some days, but it's really good that my journey's unfolding in the crazy weird way that it is, because I'm carving this completely unique journey. Like no other being in all of history of existence is ever going to have a life journey like I, Collin, had from September 18th, 1970 to whatever day I and then
Poof. I'm taking that one, Collin. I'm taking that one.
I think like it's not at all that the universe, which really doesn't like, I don't think, in my understanding, it doesn't like try to do anything to anybody in terms of like, well, I'm going to make
absolutely
this
not
unfair.
No way.
But also like the law of attraction, as you remind me all the time, I still every now and then like misunderstand it as like a person who's like,
well, I think we do that.
Negotiate with this person. It's like it's like gravity. Like you jump off a building, you're gonna fall. Like,
yeah.
We can talk about, is gravity good? Well, it keeps you on Earth. It keeps you from flying off into space. That's good. But the guy falling off the building is not going to think that gravity is good. He's going to think,
unless that's what his intention was, right. And then like, he did it for a reason.
So, I mean, I don't think the universe, the law of attraction, or the practice of the art of allowing is by definition good, bad, indifferent, whatever. It's just more that, like that my journey is a mystery, and I don't have to labor the fact of like, oh, well, why is it a mystery, and why did I have these issues growing up and all sort of stuff. It's just like, just trust that your journey is amazing and your journey is great. And
and it's made you who you are today. Like, yes. I think about, there were some things that happened in my childhood that were painful, and I look back at them and I can blame my parents or whomever. And I went through a period of my life where I did all of that, and then I healed, and someone said this to me once, and I love it. And it's like, and those experiences made you who you are today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just put a whole different twist on it. And so that I can have compassion for those who have gone after me, or I can support those who have had a similar issue, or whatever it may be. But everything that's happened in my life, whether it felt good, whether it didn't, whether it was bad, whether it was great, all of that has helped me become and be the person that I am today.
Mm-hmm. So this leads into another thing. I hope this isn't a second topic, because I know it's tough for us to come up with titles. And I feel like the title for this one.
Hey, we're just going with one, and then you get all kinds of good stuff.
I feel
before, during, and after.
Especially season 1, I feel like that's definitely what I was doing with the titles. It's like, well, 5 minutes in, I said this, and that's good. But I mean, that does not summarize this episode. This episode's all.
Our listeners who have been listening for us for most of our 5 seasons, they get it. They know,
So, but this leads me into something else, which I was thinking might be a separate topic, but I think this topic is directly led into this, is that you and I, knowing what we know,
the two of us,
yes, have everything we need to become billionaires with our dream partner, living in our dream homes, driving our dream cars,
living our best life.
At this particular point in time on our journeys, neither of us is doing any of that.
So what's your question?
Why not? Why aren't we billionaires, Stephanie? We know how to become billionaires. Why aren't we?
Because our vibration and our thoughts and the way we feel is not focused on that, isn't that vibration most of the time.
Yeah.
If it was, all of that and more, we would be experiencing.
That's you said that so well, and I just, for those of you on the audio, I was nodding like really hard through the whole thing. I never did that, but it was just resonating with me so much. Yeah. I mean, and I think for me, it's important to know that on my particular journey, again, which has an element of mystery to it, I did learn a lot of like things, beliefs as a child about lack and deprivation. There's not enough and stuff like that, and I have expanded my my, whatever you want to call it, funnel, dump truck, my point of attraction, I've expanded so much. I have more of everything that I pretty much ever dreamed.
Absolutely.
But there are
And
people, who, there are people who today their vibration is truly like, I'm going to make millions today. I just know it.
right.
And they do. And my vibration is not, I don't wake up with a vibration of like, I'm going to make millions today, and with like just ease and confidence.
What if you woke up and started practicing, like, because what would it feel like to have to have more money than you could ever spend in your lifetime? We don't even have to put billions to it. We could just say that, like that.
Mhm.
Like you would have, like, what would that feel like? Would you feel secure? Would you feel confident? Would you feel comfortable?
That's a big topic. I mean, I don't think I would today. I don't think I would feel comfortable. And that's,
With having, really?
which is
Oh
why I
my,
think I don't have it. Yeah. I mean, I
oh,
think it's
okay.
funny
So
because
yeah, then we need to unravel some of those, some
yeah.
of that. Nope.
I mean, one thing I've learned for me, and this is just for me, I'm not proselytizing this for anyone else. But for me, speed with attraction has not been a good thing. For the most part, like there have been certain times where I've attracted something really fast and it's been okay. But a lot of times when I attract something which to my mind feels big really fast,
Mhm.
I don't handle it particularly well.
Mm.
It's better for me to attract abundance in slowly ever increasing amounts. Like my annual income goes up steadily every year since I started
Nice.
learning about the law of attraction.
Congratulations.
But I mean, it hasn't gone from like what I started at, and whatever that was, 2004, whatever, to, a billion. But, there were times where I used to be cranky about that. And
I don't really want a billion. A
I definitely want
multi-millionaire.
a billion.
Do you?
I
Why?
do.
Why?
Because today I know how I would use it. And I really
How?
love how I would use it.
How would you use it?
I would save a bunch of it and invest a lot of it, so that I would have an even more secure future for myself. But I would also give a lot to certain causes that I feel deeply about.
Yeah.
I also would, purchase. I love the apartment I live in North Hollywood, but I would purchase a home instead, and I would live with more space.
Where
And
would that be?
yeah, that I don't know, 100%. There's a few different locations I think about. I think
What
about
type of home?
like a 3-story, kind of large family home, I guess,
Yeah.
really traditional.
Cool. Would you
Uh,
live on the ocean or in the mountains or in the city or
I think I would live near the ocean, but
suburbs?
not on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
15 minutes, 5 minutes, 10, 30?
I mean, when you're going to turn the episode into a coaching session, you could just give me a heads up.
That wasn't my
I've got
intention.
my thing in my head. I'm like, here's what I'm going to talk about next on the episode. I'm like, oh, but now I'm in a.
That wasn't my intention. I just was curious. Just wanted a little more
information. No, it's good. It's good. Yeah. But I mean, for me, like
You didn't answer my question.
Sorry, what was the last one?
5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes away from the ocean?
Oh, yeah, 30 minutes. Yeah.
30? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other?
No, that's it. I'm done.
Okay. Well, now I don't remember what I was going to talk about.
Good. So surprise and delights. You said something earlier that I was like, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. But you went in a little different direction than I was thinking of. And it's kind of like what you were saying about, the mystery. And I had this happen. I've had this happen multiple times, but I had it happen recently in this past week where I was feeling good. I was, just kind of bebopping along, feeling better, blah, blah, blah. And then something happened that just blew my mind. So I have this lamp in my bathroom, and it's in the ceiling, and it's a red lamp. So it's like a heat lamp. But the switch, because it's an older home, I would turn it on, it wouldn't go on. And I'd, jiggle it a little. Sometimes it'd come on, sometimes it wouldn't. And the bathroom's kind of cold, so I like having it on when I'm in there because it keeps me warm. So Monday, I was fussing with it Monday morning, and there was something in my head that said, leave it alone. And I didn't listen to that. And I just kept going at it and going. And finally, I got frustrated. I was like, fine. And I just go about my business. And then I went and, saw Dr. Chris and went to Coffee Bean and did some work and, various things. Had a really good day. And I'm coming home, and then I'm all of a sudden I'm inspired to go up this hill of this neighborhood that I've seen from the bottom, and it's on a canyon. There's nice homes, and I was just like, I'm gonna go up the street, and I had just enough time to get home, take a shower, and go see a movie. And I had the thought, Steph, are you sabotaging yourself? If you go exploring, you're gonna not be able to do these things you need to do and rest. But I was so inspired. So I went up there, drove around, really, oh my God, there's this one spot, the view is incredible. And so then I finally, I pull up to my street, and there is, because I remember thinking when I was fussing with the thing, I'm like, all I need is an electrician. Like, this wire is probably just loose. So I pull up to the house, and there's this truck in my spot, which I consider it's my spot, but it's not. And it says electrician across in big letters. And I was like, first I was mad someone was my spot. Secondly, I'm like, oh, it's what? And I see the garage open. So I park and I walk into the garage because I think he's in there. He's not. And I walk into the house, and he walks right by my bathroom. And so I'm like, hi. And he goes, hi, I was working on blah, blah, blah. And I go, oh, there's this light switch. And I walk right into the bathroom and showing it to him. Long story short, he starts working on it. He takes care of it. And the whole time he's working, I'm thinking, oh my God, is this really happening? Like, what the hell? She didn't even make an appointment for him to come. It was just something that he needed to do, was come over, and it was almost, they work a ton. And so it was like, when he has an opportunity, he's just going to swing by. And I was just like, is this really happening? Like, so he fixes it and leaves, and I was blown away. Because I could not have done that. Like, I wasn't going to hire him. Like, I wasn't going to, make an appointment that, blah, 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 blah. But here I am out doing my life, feeling better. And then I get what I want, which was an electrician to look at this. And
I mean,
the surprises and delights.
I've noticed that, and I think I mentioned it before, but probably not enough on this podcast, where one thing I noticed is I am an amazing manifester of things that, especially of things that I think about for like 5 minutes and then completely forget. Those things coming into my life like a fire hose, like, honestly. But it's the things that I think about, and then I have resistance, and then I try to let go of the resistance.
Worry and doubt.
But I was just thinking this week, I had a weird moment. I guess sometimes people have these sorts of moments. I have an ex-girlfriend our relationship ended a few years ago, and she was Jewish, and she practiced the Jewish faith, and her entire family did. And I had never really had a friend or dated anyone who had been Jewish and had been practicing the Jewish faith religiously. And I'm not a super organized religion person. A lot of people who are organized religious kind of turn me off for various reasons. But there was something really wonderful about my experience of learning about her and her family, and her religion, and the different ways that they practice that faith. And I was thinking, I really miss that about my ex-girlfriend. But then I got to the end of my thinking, and I was like, but I don't miss my ex-girlfriend at all. I'm super glad I'm not with my ex-girlfriend anymore. But I do miss, that. And I was having these thoughts of well, do I need to go make a Jewish friend or something? Which is Collin, that's not how life works. So I went to, I run a Dungeons and Dragons game every Tuesday night at a gaming store in Burbank near where I live. But I also play as a player in an online game that we just restarted with a group of friends that I met online every Saturday. And so we played D&D yesterday online, and we had a new player show up. And I didn't know that he was going to come. I wasn't even really sure whether the person running the game was going to try to find another person. We definitely had room for another person. But anyway, so this person shows up and he's a really cool guy and everything. And we just start getting to know him a little bit over the course of things. He's like, yeah, I'm going to school to be a rabbi. And then later on he was like, oh, I'm going to be late next week because I got to go to a friend's bar mitzvah. And I was just like,
that is so great.
I'm just like, so we've got this new guy in our group and we're becoming friends. And, I just was like, oh, like when I had that thought of like, oh, I really enjoyed having someone who spoke about the value that their Jewish faith brings to their life in my life. And then I forgot about that completely. I let it go as well as you can let go of anything because I just stopped thinking about it. And then, boom, the universe brought him into my life. And like 4 days later, it was crazy how
And
fast.
that's a prime example of we ask and it is given, period. And I'm the only one who is either blocking it or allowing it.
I was going to say, like, often my process is ask, question why it has not been given, question why it has not been given again, complain about the fact that it's been so long since
and everyone,
you asked, and it
that
still
is
has
an
not been given.
example of resistance. That is an example of blocking our abundance.
Yeah.
My big one is, but how? Stephanie, how is that going to how?
Yeah.
The how is the
yeah.
one that always I block.
Yeah.
When I don't do that, like you said, I think about it and then go about my business, and then it freaking pops up. Like, and that's the surprise and the delight. Like, how sweet is that? Everybody's had that experience when it's come in, you didn't know, and it comes in a way you would have never thought. And it just surprise and delight. And that is what law of attraction, the universe, our higher selves, inner being, spirit, God, all of that does for us. And that is the juicy part of life.
One thing that just strikes me as odd that I just want to, this is a little bit of a sidebar, but I just want to mention it because it comes off of something you just said, is that so often my thoughts of resistance are about the odds against me getting that thing or being that thing or doing that thing, which is so weird. It's like this very specific mathematical thing that I think a lot of us do, where it's like,
I don't.
Well,
I don't go there. Mathematical.
Good. Well, that's good. No, but I mean, a lot of times people think, like, I'll say,
okay, maybe once in a while I do.
I'll say to somebody like I've had this experience several times in my life where somebody is like, oh, like we're just talking about our life histories, and they're like, oh yeah, when I was first in college, I really wanted to be a fill in the blank, but then I found out like that field is just super competitive, so I chose something else. And I'm always like, that's about statistics, like that's about math. Like, on what planet did you decide to bring math all of a sudden into your life journey, like, plan?
Well, and math really is weird in everything, but then we need to use it on our behalf and not against us. That goes that whole thing about the resistant thoughts. Like, what does Abraham always says? You'll have this desire, and then right away you're talking about how it can't be, and how it, you just sabotage it, you block it. We don't prevent it. We don't prevent it from being, we just slow it down. Mm-hmm. So, because when we ask, it's given, done. Like, had nothing to do with it.
When you say we need to make the math that's all around us work for us, what do you mean? Like, how would that work?
Well, for instance, I don't know if this would be math, but I have a friend, we have a mutual friend, and I've seen her life. Like, she was someone, you said earlier, some people are just like, well, I expect to be a millionaire, or I expect to make millions or whatever. And I remember hearing her say, I was in her presence, and she said to me, I just expect to be wealthy. And she wasn't like on paper in that moment, but she had the vibration of it. And then years later, she is now.
Well, I wonder if it's just,
so what's the percentage of that? Like, what,
Well, what I was thinking is like, it's the math that it's like a lot of things with the law of attraction, art of allowing. It's like, what math are you looking at? because if you're looking at purely the math of everybody that wants to be an astronaut when they're 4 years old, what percentage of those people become astronauts?
Yeah, but that's
the wrong math to be looking at.
Yeah,
Basically.
because then it's the math of, like the story I just told, or I just watched a movie a few years ago about that football player who was like, they're like, you're too old, blah blah blah, and then he ended up being on a team who won, and I forget who that was, but yeah, we need to look at that math.
Yeah. Okay, you gave me the wristwatch, so I assume we're close. I forgot and set my timer late, so I wasn't actually sure exactly where we're at. But anyway, great discussion today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy that you did. We appreciate everybody who listens to us so much. Special shout outs to Jacqueline, Kelly, Sarah, Teresa, Angelica, all our regular listeners that write to us so much. We appreciate you so much. And everyone else
who listens. Thank you.
That I just completely missed there. But anyway, remember, we're posting a brand new episode for you every single Monday morning. And we truly appreciate you doing whatever your platform allows you to do to support us. All of our social media links and email address are down in the doodly-doo and the YouTube version down below. We wish you a happy and abundant week. And we look forward to you joining us again on the next episode of Co-Creation Station. Bye, everybody.